Okay, I was going to make a video about something else entirely, but my 13-year-old and 16-year-old sons are in the basement where their bedroom is. We put an egress window in a couple of years ago so that they could have the whole one half of the basement for their bedrooms, and their desks are there and their computers and stuff like that. And they are downstairs vacuuming under their beds and changing their sheets and doing all the things you do to take care of your room and your space, right? So I was going to talk about something else, but the sound of the vacuum keeps coming on over and over again. And I thought, I just want to take a second to talk about something not political. I mean, that's not true, because parenting kids, raising kids, that is very much a political act, especially in 2025 America. But you know what I mean. So on my YouTube channel, before the rise of fascism in the US, I used to have a regular segment every Friday called Hausfrau Friday, where I talked about domestic skills and philosophy, because my primary vocation has always been that of homemaker. And I've always worked some kind of side job as well, and also unschooled my kids the whole time. But taking care of a home is something that I have a lot of knowledge about, and I think is very important for everybody who lives in a home, no matter their gender or their age, to understand, right? Equipping our children with those skills to take care of the home they live in now and the home they will occupy when they are an adult, that is invaluable. Recently, one of my mutuals, Kate, was talking about how she has sons, and she said in American society, especially white American society, we hold boys to a different standard of cleanliness and hygiene than we do girls. And I think that is absolutely true. And even my eldest daughter was saying in one of her college classes, they were talking about how boys and men are not capable of the same kind of attention to detail and cleanliness as women. I like absolutely not. It's entirely a matter of socialization. Boys absolutely are as capable. If anything, I learned from my dad, who my mom always said the best thing about my father was that he would always leave a room cleaner than he found it. That men absolutely are capable of being tidy and taking care of themselves, taking pride in their appearance, maintaining their possessions, having respect for the home that they live in and the people that they share a home with. So right, it's not my job as the mom to maintain the personal space of my children who are 13 to 22. They are all fully capable of changing their own sheets, washing their own sheets, cleaning under their bed, putting away their laundry. And, our laundry is all mixed. So we all take turns. We all work together to keep the laundry going. In a house with 6 adult-sized people, we make a lot of laundry. And I do spot clean a lot of clothes. That's a topic for another video. So I do try to minimize how much wear and tear our clothes are getting, how much energy and water we're using by putting things through the washing machine, but we still make a lot of laundry. And I'm not saying it's not a battle, right? I have to remind the kids, like, hey, I just cleaned the kitchen counters. Why are there crumbs all over them? If you made a snack, you need to wipe down the cutting board when you're done, and you need to wash your own dish. If you're having a midnight snack, I do not like waking up in the morning, way before you get up, to find there's a sink full of dishes. We don't have a dishwasher, so everything here is hand washed. You make a mess, you clean it up. And even more than that, very much like my dad and my mom, you leave a room cleaner than you found it. That is something I want to instill in my children. If you walk by and you see a mess, it is your responsibility to make it better. It's not your responsibility to actively leave a mess for somebody else to find later. There's the vacuum again. Nothing about the caring of a home, nothing about domestic chores is gendered. It's only gendered because of the patriarchy, right? There's no reason that everybody in the household can't and shouldn't share the responsibility for caring for the household, for the possessions in the household, keeping the space clean and tidy, etc. There's no reason that should be gendered. And I understand in a system in the past when, again, non-white women have always worked, but in a Make America Great Again fantasy of the 1950s, where there was a happy homemaker who met her husband at the door, in her little starched apron and with a cocktail. Of course, she popped her Milltown or her Butasol first, or her Ritalin, and put on her lipstick and the cheery face. She was supposed to accept the drudgery and chores of homemaking as her inherent role and all that she had to look forward to. He was earning all the income. Again, for the majority of women in the 1950s, that was not true. He was earning all the income, and she was then in charge of all of the unpaid labor that went into running a household. Except now, the majority of households, we both earn some kind of income, and therefore, the taking care of a home, those unpaid jobs, unpaid tasks, should also be delegated to everyone in the household. I posted a video the other day where my husband brought me a scotch on the rocks and half an orange, and people were like, "Oh my God, your husband's taking such good care of you." And I was like, "Well, that's just the partnership and having a household." My husband does more than half the dishes. He helps with the laundry. He definitely helps with domestic things around the house, and that's because we're both income earners. We both unschool the kids, and he doesn't see any of that labor as gendered, and that's very much what we're trying to teach our sons as well. So I have 2 daughters and 2 sons, and I want to make sure that my expectation is all of them are capable. They become capable adults, and they're all capable of doing the things that adults need to do. Should any of my children choose to have a woman for a partner, I don't want her to have to mother them, right? That's not going to be her role. I would like any of my children to be ready to be an equal partner to another adult once they reach adulthood. And I don't think that that's an unrealistic expectation. There's a huge difference between permissive parenting and non-punitive parenting. I would say that my parenting is authoritative, not authoritarian. So I can say the floors need to be vacuumed today. Someone can pick up that task, or the recycle needs to go out. I've tried to get away from saying, "Can you do me a favor?" Because it's not a favor. It's not a chore. It's not a punishment. It's not a favor. It's just part of the job of being a person who lives in a home, is to take care of that home. And yes, there's reminding, and yes, there is a communication like, "Hey, my dude, have you switched the laundry yet? George, it's time to take the recycles out to the bin and the bin out to the curb." Ultimately, my goal would be for my kids to not have to be reminded of anything, for them all to get to a place where they have their own internal rhythm and sense of what needs to be done in a day and what needs to be done throughout the week and throughout the month. I understand there's a lot of adults who don't function like that. I think that takes a certain level of executive functioning. And if you can't hold all of that in your head, then there's no reason not to have a list posted somewhere or to have it on your phone. I know my mom was really big. She had great executive functioning, but she still was really big on visual reminders. And the insides of all our kitchen cabinets would have Post-it notes with her reminders. And that was sort of her structural system of keeping herself reminded of things, and she could move Post-it notes around, and it kept her on task. So it's not that we don't need external helpers, and I think it's good to teach our children that they can use external helpers. And I think now more than ever, when we live in an era where folks are wanting to look back to a not even a romanticized version, a fictional version of decades past, with strict gender roles, the removing of women's rights on many, many fronts, the removing of children's rights and children's access on many fronts as well. I think it's more important than ever that we push back against that. The mothers are on the forefront of the revolution, right? Mothers always have been. That we have a chance to teach our children, to push back against the toxic messages in the culture, and to teach our children that there is a different way to be a safe refuge as well from the toxic influences in the culture, and to provide our children with skills that the culture, especially boys, skills that the culture might tell them, "You don't need those, just let a woman take care of it for you." Raising kids in today's America is a radical act if you are doing it right. And I think that it's so important, as we are going throughout our day, to remember that even these small things that we're helping equip our children with, the ways that we are providing them with support and relief from what's happening in the culture, but also providing them with skills and information to combat it, to remember that even though those actions may seem really small and mundane, they're really important. Everybody wants to find the revolution, but nobody wants to do the dishes. But like the raising of children, that is the revolution. Teaching our children those mundane domestic chores, how to care for ourselves, how to care for our household, how to care for our neighbors and our community, how to learn all of these skills that are typically unpaid skills that are vital to keep society going. But men and the patriarchy and capitalism, they don't want to honor them or give them any value. Like, how important that we do that work as parents right now. Okay, so thanks for letting me go down this little tangent. I am now going to make the video I was planning on making.